Hello and welcome to It's Your Business with Mario Toneguzzi on Megapix Media. Joining me today is Ian Gunn, who is Calgary Real Estate Leader for PwC Canada. Thanks for joining us today, Ian.
Thanks, Mario.
So recently you folks, in collaboration with the Urban Land Institute, released your Emerging Trends in Real Estate report. Let's chat a little bit about that and specifically about the Calgary area and Calgary market. What are you finding in terms of the commercial side of things in real estate, particularly office space, Ian?
Well, it's a very good question raised, and thanks for taking time to raise this. Again, it's a report that we've been doing for a number of years, and specifically, there is some nuances. We saw some Canada-wide trends, but as you're asking, what are we seeing from a Calgary commercial standpoint? And it's pretty interesting. What Calgary's been facing is sort of a combination of two things, maybe three, but at least two things that it's different than the rest of the country. Everybody is suffering, from the impacts of COVID-19 and how that's changing the landscape. But what's been happening, Calgary's got the additional hit of the oil and gas market and what's been happening in oil and gas, and going into call it pre-COVID days, we already were faced with a very significant vacancy rate in the downtown core from a standpoint of office rental, and it was in the mid-20s, at least the reported rate. That's creeped up even further, and we've seen some information prepared by a lot of the other businesses involved in real estate that are managing or monitoring this trend, and there are some more hits to potentially come in the future because there's more space still coming on the market. But the real impact we have seen now is the return to work is, I call it return to workplace, is being affected significantly in the Calgary marketplace because of that excess space. What we did see coming through the survey is there's a general trend amongst those that we surveyed that there's a desire for businesses to get back to the offices here in Calgary that's different than other cities. Some of that could be our network of transportation being different, the ease to get back there. I've seen it myself. We PwC opened our offices back up the end of July, and it was a very slow restart. That's without saying. But you're seeing a few more people in the downtown core. But there still is, the vacancy rate's now pushing almost 30%. And that in itself is leading to a lot of other knock-on issues. With the slow return to the downtown core, there's commercial businesses in the downtown core that are suffering. Like, I don't know if anybody's walked through the Plus 15 recently, but there are a number of places that are not open, or they're only open for a short window of time. There's resiliency, though, been shown. There are a few players in the market that are looking and saying, what can we do different with the space that we have? And we heard from a few that we interviewed, landlords that are looking and saying, right now, okay, we haven't suffered any issues because there hasn't been a lot of leases coming up for renewal, but they're starting to work with the tenants to say, if your space used to have, call it 150 people space on a floor, post-COVID, with expectations of having to have social distancing or space, maybe you can only accommodate 75, maybe it's 100, but they're starting to work with the tenants to look at options as to how they could reconfigure their space. And you may see, there isn't any empirical fact yet as to how much space is going to be needed or not needed, but we are hearing that some are looking to say, okay, well, we could put 100 people back into that space. So we really, if we had whatever square footage before, maybe we need to keep it because we're still going to see, and all information is saying there's a longer term trend where people are going to be working flexible work arrangements. Yeah. And there's still a desire or a need to have some space available should a staff member say, I need to work from the office for this week and I need a space to work in.
What about the industrial sector, Ian? What trends are you seeing in Calgary in that area?
Well, that has been, a bit of a, you could call it not a bright spot, but a positive spot that there has been, and this started a couple of years ago, that businesses have been looking and saying, well, it's extremely expensive to get, call it warehousing or industrial space in, say, Vancouver to serve the Vancouver market, but there's a lot available in Calgary, and we've seen a significant amount of development of the, call it commercial and industrial space in and around Calgary over the last few years at reasonably good pricing. And when you think of where Calgary is located, a comment made, I think it was last year's Calgary Real Estate Forum, which is on today, where it was highlighted that, a distribution organization could be setting up in Calgary and they can reach Vancouver in, call it 14 to 16 hours, and they can reach Winnipeg in about the same time. So when you look at that market that they can serve, it's quite a broad market. And we're seeing a lot more focus on the ability to have what the last mile delivery concept that's coming through. A lot of the impacts right now that everybody who's been trying to work through the process, everybody's ordering more product online. Well, that has to be fulfilled, fulfillment centers, that has to be fulfilled from somewhere. And it can't be to meet the demands of the consumer. It's that concept of want to get 1 or 2 day delivery. Well, you've got to put product near the customer. So you need to fill warehouse space or have warehouse space to fill. And that has been at least call it a balancing impact to the marketplace. And the commercial space or industrial space, while there's a lot of it, it's not been bad. It has not suffered significantly, and it may be those market impacts of, as we see a changing economy, how does Calgary respond?
Now, obviously, through these difficult times, it's been a challenge in the retail industry, right? A lot of store closures. We see them almost on a daily basis right now. What does that mean for the retail real estate market in the city?
Well, that is you've hit the nail on the head. That is the most significantly affected part of the market. As I said earlier, you walk through the Plus 15 right now, and there are a lot of places that are empty, closed, or not even operating. And that's not just in the Plus 15 environment. That's hitting some of the other retail locations as they're going through as we've gone through the various phases of the impacts of COVID. Some of the businesses haven't been able to operate. There was many programs that were available for rent relief or the wage subsidy programs, and those are coming to an end. And that's causing some problems for a number of retailers as to an ability to pay their rent. And it is a sector that any real estate portfolio that has a significant retail component is obviously negatively affected in this environment.
Yeah,
there are many businesses that have suffered, and it's just it's an unfortunate fact. Will there be change? Well, people will adapt, but it's an unfortunate part. There will be some casualties as a result of this.
Okay, super then. Well, thanks a lot for joining us today, Ian.
No problem. Thanks a lot, Mario, and enjoy the rest of the day and a little bit of the snow that we've been getting. Hopefully it won't be driving too bad, although not having to drive as much.
Yeah, you bet. That was Ian Gunn, Calgary Real Estate Leader for PwC Canada. This has been It's Your Business with Mario Toneguzzi on Megapix Media. Thanks for joining us today.